Okay, so here it is. Got some more Magecraft, and today we're going to be looking at some Witchcraft. Let's see, and I did see a familiar face. What was it? Alice, right? From Witch on the Holy Night, one of the main protagonists, on top of, I think, Alzaki. And, well, you do have her other sister, but I think she's more of like a side character in that. But yeah, I remember, yeah, looking at that a little bit back. I got that explained to me, I think, by Saya. And yeah, here we go, yet again, looking at this. So yeah, let's just see what this is all about and probably just get a little bit more of some other characters that I haven't seen yet or been introduced to yet. But other than that, I think that's about it. So I hope you guys will enjoy this. Make sure you like, subscribe, and yes, get this reaction started.
In our previous lesson, I spoke of textures, the very layers of reality that envelop our planet, and how artifacts like Rongo Miniad serve to bind these textures together. I then turned to you for suggestions on future lessons. With a list of topics to work on, I have decided to dedicate today's lesson to witchcraft and the various witches who practice it. To a non-mage, the concepts of wizards and witches is readily established through culture. Wise men with wooden staffs and wicked old women stirring up cursed cauldrons. These terms are not quite so straightforward to an actual mage, however. I've already mentioned that a wizard, for instance, is just another way to refer to a Spiritron hacker. This includes mages who participate in the Mooncell Holy Grail Wars. Witches, however, have a more complicated identity and are not simply a term for female mages. To start out, let us differentiate between witchcraft and witches, which are actually separate concepts. Witchcraft as a whole refers vaguely to a number of thaumaturgical spells and techniques that one might also call black magic. It does include curses, as well as many spells that require sacrifice. Some may consider witchcraft to be a more negative aspect of black magic, though I must admit that compared to the devilish methods of Francois Prelati and Gilles de Rais, witchcraft can be fairly tame. For an idea of what witchcraft actually looks like, I find it is best to look at examples. The following are ordinary human mages that practice witchcraft, but are not themselves witches. Haduri Borzak is a young woman who considers witchcraft an art that requires sacrifice, whether it come externally or from the user itself. Despite this, she has a strong moral compass, hesitating to so much as speak the word kill aloud. She refuses to sacrifice others, especially animals, so her witchcraft instead uses her own flesh and blood.
Okay.
Due to her reluctance for violence, her spells are actually best used for deflecting curses rather than conjuring them.
Well, that's
Ayaka
one way to
Sato
do
is
it,
a
I
mage who learned
guess.
black magic from her father, Hiroki. Like Haruri, Ayaka's witchcraft requires sacrifices, this time from animals specifically. Compared to her father, Ayaka is rather unskilled in this practice, and actually finds more success in a different field. When she does use witchcraft, however, it manifests in the form of black crow feathers that she can fire like darts at her enemies. The mage Misaya Reirokan also learned black magic from her father, which she uses in conjunction with rune magecraft and summoning. It shows how many of these practices tend to bleed into each other. Unique spells emerge whenever mages of different backgrounds approach the same general concept. This can be seen in the Sakagami family of mages. Their witchcraft involves calling down the gods with a bronze bell linked to their ode. The practice of witchcraft often does share a cultural connection to deception, sacrifice, poisons, potions, and curses. Thus, people can find themselves falsely called witches regardless of their practice or heritage, earning the title of witch often out of intimidation. Such is the case for the mage Aoko Aozaki.
Okay.
Many view her as the infamous Witch of Destruction, but while she trained under a witch as a teenager, she herself is not actually one of them. The concept also applies to Jeanne d'Arc Alter, who, after being conjured by a depraved Gilles de Rais, became known as the
I
Dragon
think there's
Witch,
like a
or Witch of Vengeance,
specific
despite
type
not
of,
even being a conventional mage.
I think, blood that you need to
That
have
said, what
for actual
exactly
like
is a
witch-like
witch,
type of powers, I
While
think.
witches do indeed practice witchcraft,
Or like,
what truly defines them is that they're an entirely separate race of supernatural beings. Indeed, witches are not the same as ordinary humans. They're an ancient race involved in establishing the very first true magic. In fact, the involvement of witches is one of the few things we actually know about the first magic, beyond how it supposedly generates ether clumps. Initially, witches had a healthy relationship with the Mages Association. The witch Yumina is responsible for founding the Department of Botany, which is also named after them. Since witchcraft often entails the creation of potions, the Department of Botany gained success in the Clock Tower by selling pharmaceuticals, the most popular being anti-aging medicine. Just like the gods, witches were in their prime during past eras. Morgan, sister of Artoria Pendragon and ruler of Fairy Britain, could be considered one of the most powerful witches. She established and maintains her dominion over the British Lost Belt through a ritual called Water Mirror, or Infinity Mirror. It's a type of transference magecraft that turns the sky into still water before unleashing a bolt of lightning that strikes her targets and sends them back in time. Such a feat is certainly on par with true magic, requiring a colossal amount of mana generated by the swirling storm clouds that can persist for days or even weeks. It's akin to a nuclear reactor for magical energy, which becomes ever more intimidating when you consider that it can be used to capture calamities for additional mana. Ultimately, Morgan intends to use this energy as a curse to dominate not just the world of fairies, but also the world of proper human history. In that endeavor, Morgan can bestow her infinity mirrors to her subjects. In this case, the fairy knight Tristan, more properly called the witch Bavanshi. Traditionally a vampiric ghoul of the Scottish Highlands, the Bavanshi serving Morgan is a witch split between polarizing images. On one end, she is a hard-working girl loved by her mother, but on the other, she is a haughty princess who sees her future kingdom as a toy to corrupt.
Oh yeah, I
She
can see the
possesses a
shoes
skill
back
called
there.
Grey Malkin, named after a witch's iconic feline companion. Her noble phantasm is Fetch Failnot, keening of painful fantasy. Based on the idea of a Scottish doppelganger, she creates a body double of her enemy from their flesh. Killing this double will curse the original to death. It is a dangerous technique that rots her soul with each use.
Okay, I'm about to say, gotta be some
The more
type of
iconic
risk.
witch is Circe,
That sound
the
crazy.
queen of witches. In Greek mythology, she was a worshipper of Hecate, goddess of witchcraft and necromancy. By trade, Circe was talented in herbalism, making potions strong enough to affect even heroic spirits. On her island of Aea, she would lure her victims in with poisoned feasts, and use polymorphing or shapeshifting to turn them into animals, namely pigs. She also reigns over Scylla, the nymph she cursed into becoming a multi-headed sea monster. While Circe wears her status as a witch with pride, being associated with witches can be absolutely tragic. Such is the case for Circe's nephew Medea. The two of them worshipped Hecate together, and for 6 months, Medea was taught magecraft by her aunt in order to take over as a shrine priestess in her land of Colchis. Biologically speaking, she was not a witch, nor did she intend to use her witchcraft to bring harm to others. However, fate demanded she do just that when Jason and his Argonauts came to Colchis looking for the Golden Fleece. Under a spell from the goddess Aphrodite, Medea was forced to aid Jason by butchering her own family. The Argonauts looked upon her with disdain, branding her a witch out of fear. Even Jason, the man she was forced to love, cast her aside after having her perform all manner of wicked deeds. To her, ironically, there is no curse more sorrowful than being condemned as a witch. Sadly, hatred for witches would only continue to swell with the end of the Age of Gods. Not only were witches hanged or burned alive at the stake,
Like
their
usual.
very existence faded as humanity became independent from mystery. One of two things happened to witches during this transition. The vast majority went away, returning to the Earth or rejoining Yumina. Some of them miraculously returned to the past, though I must admit their means are beyond me. More tragically, the minority of witches chose to integrate with human society and are unfairly treated as fallen witches, unsightly rejects who abandoned the power they once held. This is because falling in love with humans dilutes a witch's blood and presumably rots their soul. Though it was essentially
That's
a
what it
choice
was.
between living on with humans or dying out as pure witches,
That blood.
many mages, including higher-ups at the association, believe all witches should have perished with dignity. It's ironic, given humanity's own struggle to remain talented in a craft that is slowly but surely fading away. One of these troubled witches is Alice Kuonji, who is thought to be Yumina's descendant. She inherited her mage abilities from her mother Meinster, the previous generation's witch. Meinster reluctantly married into the Kuonji family after falling in love with their eldest son. I say she was reluctant not out of passion, but out of fear that their child would also inevitably be born a witch. Given the stigma put on witches, this would only bring sorrow to whatever family they made for themselves. Regardless, the two married and had their daughter Alice. Sure enough, their family struggled. Alice's mother died shortly after her birth. While her father loved her dearly, he too passed away after several years of criticism from other mages. Both parents left Alice alone in the mansion they had purchased, where she continued to pursue a life of witchcraft. Thanks to a favorable association with the Aozaki family, Alice is able to live with and tutor her friend Aoko. Unlike Aoko, who ages as a normal human, Alice is deemed as a lady of eternity who cannot. Her body matured at the age of 16 when she perfected her craft. While she and her abilities are considered strong, she is ultimately frail, considering she is bound to vanish as the world modernizes.
See that skinny.
Alice's witchcraft is special in that it utilizes various familiars made famous through fairy tales. It is a rare system called ploy kickshaw that has been passed down for over 1,000 years. She brags of having 108 familiars, or ploys, though in truth she only has about 30, 20 of which she inherited from her ancestors, and 10 she created by herself. Among them are the Great Three, ploys inherited by the very first generation. Unlike traditional weaponry, ploys are beings of fantasy and illusion that do not follow the laws of physics, making them superior to most modern weapons. They can only be affected by concepts that also exist within fairy tales, as all other things evaporate on touch. One of the privileged mages of Chaldea's Team A, Beryl Gut, comes from an ancient family line. His mother was a witch who raised him in the forest, secluded from civilization. She taught him a style of witchcraft tailored to assassination and torture that manipulates life itself as a main ingredient. Specifically, Beryl can shapeshift into other creatures after eating them. Before joining Chaldea, he naturally studied in the Department of Botany. As a crypter of the British Lost Belt, he was actually the one who taught Bavanshi her noble phantasm. The last case I wish to speak of is April, a witch who became as such through extraordinary means. She had the power to turn her lies into reality, making those around her afraid and aggressive. While she always told the truth, the people condemned her to torture and burning at the stake. There, she told her one and only lie. "I don't want to die, I'm a witch." It was especially ironic. This phrase being a lie revealed her genuine wish for death, but saying she was a witch made her lie true, such that she could not die, not even after a witch hunter sliced her neck, gouged her chest, stole her heart,
that's
locked
actually
her heart into a box,
crazy.
and burned it to ashes with holy oil.
Lies into
to avoid
reality.
further conflict, she locks herself in her room, only ever opening the door on April 1st out of loneliness.
Of course,
I believe
April.
it is safe to say her circumstances are not at all conventional. In summation, witches and witchcraft are related, but not exclusively connected. Witchcraft is an ancient form of black magecraft, involving cursed spells that require sacrifice. Many myths surrounding witchcraft hold an element of truth, such as boiling potions in cauldrons, having cats as familiars, and shape-shifting. Clearly, however, the shape of witchcraft varies drastically between different mages. We often call people witches, sometimes out of spite or intimidation, but in truth, witches are a supernatural race that exists similar to gods. With the coming of the modern era, witches could only survive by integrating and reproducing with humans. As if their reputation weren't bad enough, this process had them estranged from the Mages Association, despite still possessing great magical talent. My heart goes out to these women who endure such a harsh stigma. It is truly one of the world's greatest tragedies. In their honor, I wish to dedicate our next lesson exclusively to Alice Kuonji and her many ploys. Covering each and every one of them should prove to hopefully redeem the way we view witches and witchcraft on a larger scale.
Okay, and then that is it for this one. So yeah, what I was talking about with that blood, I was like, okay, I know there's something, and like yeah, once you get like that human blood and yeah, with witch blood mixed together, it was something that had to do with that. But yeah, once he brought it up, I was like, okay, there we go. Or like, well, it was something else too. But what I was hearing from like Saya, I think, yeah, it was from Saya. It was like, or no, it should have been. Yeah, I had to go back because I'm like, yeah, looking at these two together now, looking at Saya and Otaku, so yeah, getting me mixed up. But what was it? I think it was like, yeah, if you're like a pure true witch, yeah, it's like, yeah, you'll have like that best, or at least yeah, the best like witchcraft, or at least like the most power or something. I think like the human blood kind of messed it up, weakening your power, not making it like true witchcraft or whatever. But yeah, I think I'm probably just saying like something crazy right there though. But or not, it was something along the lines of that though. But if anything, it most likely was just this that he just mentioned, and yeah, that other stuff was just whatever else I may have heard. But yeah, actually, yeah, this helps me out with Alice getting at least a little bit more of her story. Of just kind of like, yeah, when I did first get introduced, it's like, okay, introduce her. You know, I know she's a witch and all, and then, you know, basically like, yeah, other witches that are about like the same as her. And here I'm just looking at a lot more. And yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, I smiled when I saw Medea, cause I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. It's like I don't even know why I didn't think of her being one. I guess because I didn't really view her as a witch. I guess it's just kind of like, oh, you know, yeah, really like what cast her and then that was it. So yeah, I don't know. I was like, okay, of course she's one, right? I'm like, that's a character that I've basically seen from day one of looking at all this fate. But yeah, I do remember her. So yeah, I gotta see that video because yeah, I saw it was like some of these witches, but not even like half of them. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, because it was a while ago that I looked at this. Probably like a month or two ago, but yeah, I do remember that. Let's see. But other than that, I think that might be it. Okay, yeah, I was about to say something with her, like her not liking the sacrifice. I'm like, nah, sometimes, I mean, of course you don't want to sacrifice humans or animals or nothing, but I was about to say sometimes you may need a sacrifice just to get some results, or at least better yourself. And I don't mean literally just killing someone, I'm just saying like, I don't know, yeah, maybe like, yeah, how she was doing, maybe you had to do things to yourself. I mean, nothing too crazy, but yeah, just experiment on things that yeah, can't exactly or aren't alive like that. I don't know, a rock or something. But it's like, yeah, I mean, even if you don't want it though, sometimes yeah, that sacrifice, it just probably is necessary. I think that's it. Yeah, because I saw him, then obviously Alice. Let's see, actually I think I had to look up, what was it, Yumina, I think? Yeah, Yumina, I had to look her up and read a little bit on her. Other than that, yeah, if it is on Alice, then yeah, I'm ready. You know, get a little bit more of her, and then we move on from there. But yeah, I'm gonna just end it off here. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe again, and yeah, I'll just see you guys in the next one.